Some rid of all this stuff here.
Welcome to the podcast. I've got a fantastic guest for you today coming out of my hometown, the Woodlands, Texas, Kash Fadaie. And he's an entrepreneur from California, and he's in business and actually in insurance business. And I'm really happy to have him and showcase entrepreneurs doing great things, and really happy to have him in the discussion to add value to the audience. So Kash, welcome.
It's my pleasure to be with you. Thank you for having me.
Yeah. Briefly introduce yourself and we'll dive right into the conversation and questions.
Absolutely. Let's see. I migrated to the United States when I was 10 years old. I was born in Iran. We left Iran, went to Germany, lived in Germany for 5 years. Always, even at that age, I had a dream of being a business owner. As a young kid, like 10, 11, came to the United States, started my first business when I was 13 years old, cutting lawns in Florida. That's where we went. Tons of grass, tons of rain, just like Texas. So I started my first business there. And then after that, I started several others, close to a dozen businesses. In 2004, by virtue of process of isolation, I got into, I thought, hey, insurance sounds good. I didn't even know what it was. It's the least exciting subject, but I said, I'll try it. Because I have the gift of gap and I love people, I did very well. So in 2006, I opened my own independent agency. And then from there, this past 18, 20 years, I've just been enjoying this business. And here I am today. I have 20 people that help me out, and I'm living the American dream.
Yeah. It's really interesting because I have a lot of Persian friends, and they've always been very talented and well-versed in business. And so I'm really happy to showcase you. And then, so talk about just strategies for building a insurance businesses. What sort of challenges and how you overcame them?
Yeah, beautiful. Insurance is a very lucrative business. What's beautiful about insurance is that it's stable, meaning that it's recession-proof. In 2008, right after I launched my agency, as you recall, the economy was topsy-turvy, and I grew my agency out of a recession. And then here, the past 3 years, inflation has been high. So insurance rides the waves of the economy because people can't part with it. It's like the top 3, 4, 5 things, right? If the cost of repair and replace goes up, premiums go up, people still have to pay it. You cannot part with it with insurance. So those are some of the benefits of insurance. The other benefit was the residual aspect. You inform a client, you advise them, they buy a policy to protect their assets. You get a commission from the carrier. But if you do a good job and you're accessible and you're agile, they'll renew their policy and then you get another commission. So that's residual business. So these are some of the benefits of insurance, but it's a tedious business. There's a lot of moving parts. So if somebody wanted to get into insurance, that's the question you asked. I would say that get clear, first of all, on what you want to do. Get clear on yourself, first of all. I like to go deeper than the root level. I like to go to the sap level of the tree. So first and foremost, get clear on who you are, what you want, and if insurance is something that you want to venture into, go and work with a broker, an independent agency. So there's independent agencies. That's what I am. And then there's exclusive or captive agencies. So the difference real quick for your audience is captive agencies, they only offer one brand, okay, for the most part. Like think of AAA or State Farm. It's one brand. Whereas a brokerage, I have 518 brands, carriers. So I have more appetite for risk. So if you're building a building, you need insurance for it, a broker can help. So get clear on what you want. If you want to do insurance, then go and work with a broker, become a producer, learn the business. That would be my best advice, because then you can really see, hey, do I have talent for this? And can I develop passion for it? because it's a very beautiful business. But you first have to take those steps, because after that, the question is, do you want to start your own brokerage? Okay, then we'll have a discussion about that. Or are you content with working under a broker? Or do you want to open a franchise? So there's 3 paths.
Yeah, well, really interesting. And you read my mind, because I was going to ask you, like, and what were the steps needed for you to go from broker to having your own independent agency? What sort of mindset shifts, or what sort of things helped you? You mentioned working under someone and learning it. If someone wanted to do this, how would they transition from, sounds like a solopreneur, self-employed, to just a business owner, entrepreneur?
Absolutely. Yeah. Look, after the decision has been made from being a producer selling insurance for an agency, and the person says, okay, I like this, I want to be an entrepreneur now. At that point, there needs to be a shift. And I always love the Kiyosaki quadrants, as you probably know, Rich Dad Poor Dad. You go from the employer mindset to the second one, which is self-employed. Now, self-employed is, okay, I'm going to acquire an appointment. An appointment is a relationship with a carrier. Let's say it's an auto carrier, and they're appointing new agents, and you get that appointment. And now you can find the appetite of that appointment. Let's say it's, auto insurance for dealerships, whatever. So now you have a marketing plan. You go and cater to the auto dealerships and say, look, I have the best rates. And you bring in donuts, etc. Okay? You're self-employed. The next phase of evolution is acquire more appointments, broaden your appetites, right? The next phase is, now you're busy. Self-employed means you own a job. That's all that means. You own a job. Now you got to get to the third quadrant, business owner. Okay? Business owner means, okay, I'm busy. I'm going to build a team. I'm going to delegate. So I'm going to hire Jackie, Bob, John, and they're going to be my helpers, so that I can allocate more of my energy into better KPIs, key performance indicators. What am I looking for? Growth. Now, a business owner is looking for 2 things: growth and team culture. So this is where the person has to be more than just owning a job, self-employed. They have to build a team culture, a brand. They have to be consistent. They have to be agile. They have to bring more value to the marketplace. So growth and, of course, team culture. Now, when you've done that, now you're ready to be an investor. That's that 4th quadrant. As an investor, you're investing now in better technology, assets. You're buying assets. Your little agency is producing income. It's an asset. So what better place to invest your earnings? And that's, this is with evolution. Okay, I'm going to buy a CRM. I'm going to buy a agency management system. I'm going to buy I'm going to have a marketing budget. I'm going to buy more leads. And I'm going to free up my time. I should not be working in my business. I should be working on my business. These are the concepts that you have to go through to get to that 4th quadrant. So lastly, time is your most precious commodity. So the question is, do you want to do it from scratch? If you do, it's going to take time. Now, how do you collapse time? Capital. You have capital. Why? Cash. That's unintended. Why? Because if you have capital, you can buy an agency, right? So you already have the appointments, you have personnel, you have things. So that collapses time, your most precious commodity. So you have to choose. Am I going to build this from scratch? That's going to take time. Or if I have capital, Either way, it's capital and time. So those are some things to think about when it comes to an insurance agency.
Yeah, I really love that four quadrant that Robert Kiyosaki has and how it applies. And it can be in any industry, any profession. It's the same mindset. And one thing that you talked about, basically, once you're in the business owner quadrant and you have this cash producing asset, you talk about reinvesting those proceeds into the business. Talk about why you would, once you're at that point, you invest in technology or more staff or more personnel versus taking that extra cash in investing into paper assets or real estate or other businesses. How do you determine what to invest in?
Beautiful. And this is the number one thing I see when agencies or agents, they get stuck into that self-employed. And this is the number one thing that I see is they're taking their profits and they're not investing it in the asset. And that's where quality goes down. There's less value to the consumer. There's less conversion of leads. There's less growth, less company morale. And it's very connected. Now, why invest in insurance? Insurance is stable. It's recession-proof. And your business, your agency, look, the best investment one can make is on the asset class that they can control the most, right? So the more control, the more knowledge, the more hands-on, tactile, tangible transaction, the safer the risk. So if you take the majority of your profits, maybe live humbly, modestly, this is a key. And if you look at most entrepreneurs in the United States, they're self-made. They weren't born with a silver spoon. And so some of these tactics are universal. You invest that hard-earned capital, delayed gratification, right? Put it back into the business. Why? Because now you have a recession-proof business with residual income, as we discussed. You better your agency. More dollars spent on a CRM. Why? Why a CRM? Why an agency management system? Organization. Orderly. You need to know, because what are we doing? We are in the data industry. We have data. We need to make sure that data is organized. Remember, the client is expecting a value. That's free enterprise, right? That's supply and demand. If we are able to be more agile, more touchy with our client, meaning information. Hey, your renewal is coming up. Hey, I'm shopping for you. Client needs service. They can text me. They can go on my web and chat with me, right? They can email me. I have pipeline automations going on. Somebody wants a quote. Okay, so we generate the quote. We use a pipeline. Automations go out. These little touches is what sets you apart in a highly competitive industry. So when you invest your dollars in your agency, over time, you bring more value. The client is more happy. And now the word of mouth starts happening. I went to Kash. I had a great experience. And other technologies, send a Google review, right? Make it easier. Put an extension on your Chrome. Send it. All these technologies, right? In 2024, make a video, right? Invest in a video like Loom or Bomb, whatever. Send video presentations. All of these things are necessary when we want to increase our communication and make our agency more viable for the marketplace. And the more you produce, finally, this is in closing, the more you produce for a respective carrier, commissions go up. And then now you can get more appointments, more carriers in your arsenal, in your roster. The more carriers you have, the more you can take on market share. Now you can go into commercial business and you can approach bigger carriers and say, look, I've done well with these, Here's my book of business. I'd like to get an appointment with you. Here's my marketing strategy. Here's my business. I've invested in it. I have technology. And you get the appointment. Now you are presenting a larger group of demographics, right? So that's the mindset that we have to go from self-employed to business owner. And then that's the corridor. Once we stabilize the business owner aspect of our journey, now we're ready to migrate into investor. In fact, we're almost there at this point. We're almost now becoming an investor, right? So they're hybrid at that point. But eventually, as cash flow increases and the agency expands into different states and et cetera, now you're really just an investor. You're investing in human capital, technology, you're investing in all sorts of different things. More importantly, in closing, investing in the self. That's the key, the energy of the self. And so that's another subject. But as a CEO, what are you bringing to the table? Are you fatigued? Are you managing your stress? How is your energy? How's your physiology? How's your nervous system? Because what's required for a business owner, entrepreneur, that's an investor, it's the long game. So everything has to be dialed in. So invest in yourself, largest asset ever. Invest in your agency, on your business, which keeps producing income. So hopefully that answers something.
Yeah, that was very beautiful. And I've thought about this a lot, and I've read that you mentioned personal development and investing in yourself, and that's going to be the greatest ROI, and also marketing and advertising. If you do it correctly and you grow your business, can produce greater returns than any sort of stock or real estate or any sort of those types of investments. What was interesting is, because I love this idea, because we have around 4 or 5 minutes remaining, and you talk about the energy and you have to be dialed in, and you talk about just exploring higher states of consciousness, and you talk about TM cities designation, as well as transcendental meditation, and how those have helped you create a great culture and thrive in business, not only in business, but also in your personal life as well.
Absolutely. Yeah, it's beautiful. Let's dive into that. So I talked about the root and I talked about the sap, where I said in the early part of our podcast. And what I meant by sap is an inward journey first. Before we go out, let's find out, who am I? What am I? And so this inward approach is often, it's a path less traveled, right? A lot of times we're human doings instead of human beings. So TM and the TM cities, which is yoga union, it's an esoteric practice from the East. And the vehicle to go inward, to be a human being, to go to the sap level, is a technology called meditation, a technique. So with this technology, which is thousands of years old, one can discover, what am I? Who am I? And it turns out after a while of this inward approach, 2 or 3 times a day, and eventually you realize that what I am is creativity. It turns out that I am joy, I am happiness, I am dynamism. So as you go in and in, the nervous system, so what happens is during the practice of meditation, the individual rests deeper than sleep and REM. This has been proven, okay? It goes to a state of rest where the individual is fully rested, deeper than REM state, but fully alert at the same time. Very paradoxical. But in this state, oh, by the way, the brain wave patterns go become alpha 1 and gamma. And you become so rested that the nervous system unstresses. And when the nervous system unstresses, you're more rejuvenated. So then when you come out of meditation, you are more rested. more peaceful. And when you're peaceful, what happens? Creativity, ideas. There is less distortion, more clarity, more dynamism, more bliss, more joy. So you go back in and then you go back out. It's like going to the bank, withdrawing money, which is the ocean of consciousness. That's what you are, consciousness. Turns out after you go in, you realize all there is consciousness. You are consciousness. So you go withdraw money, metaphor, and you go out into the world, to the bazaar, that's the mall, which is life, and you spend that money. Now, the decisions that you make is the spending of the money, this metaphor. And so the decisions become better. They're aligned with this peaceful, rested state, this dynamic, joyful state, less distortion. So what happens is you make less mistakes. You're less reactive. You're more responsive. You're more intentional. And now, as you begin to evolve spiritually, if you will, you now vibrate differently, if you will. Okay. Your resonance is happier. You're more joyous. You're making better decisions. Now opportunities come, doors open, ideas come, and now better decisions are made. And when you make better decisions, the law of reap and sow is universal, right? It happens no matter what. Now, better things are happening. And now that becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy, because now you find validation. You find validation upon validation that these decisions are good. Being in a rested state is good. So that then doubles down on that sort of cycle, right? And now you can bring those things into your relationships, into your eating habits, into your exercise habits, into your business habits. And that's what you're doing. You're creating, you don't have to have the best DNA. You just have to learn how to create the best habits. And when you are in the sat level of being, it's beyond motivation. It's beyond the subconscious. That's called the superconscious. Satori in a different tradition, it's called, right? So from that place, you now respond to life and you bring that bliss into life. So now it's more than just money. Now you're developing happiness. And when you're happy, it's the goal of life. At the end of the day, what do we toil for? We do all this because we want to be happier. But once you discover, in closing, once you discover the source of happiness, the nectar of bliss, the supreme joy is already here. Once this has been not discovered, uncovered. It's not a discovery, it's an uncovering. The egoic system, false self, distortions, goes away. And the nervous system becomes refined. Now, you are happiness. So now you can enjoy material objects. Okay, here it is. Or relationships. What? They're not the source of your happiness. Boom. Now you can enjoy the things outside of you without the fear of losing. There is no more fear of losing. That state as a vibrational frequency, which is pure success. Nothing can be taken away from you. Nothing can be added to you. The person's stable within and without. Contentment is great gain, right? Godliness with contentment is great gain. It's a passage from the Old Testament. So that's the essence of where meditation and esoteric practice and fasting and cold plunges and all these other technologies are woven into the CEO type of life, into the entrepreneurship life. Because let me tell you something, and I think you can vouch for this. To be an entrepreneur, it takes great effort. It's not some cavalier thing. You got to put it all in. Okay. And you've heard this from many different people on many different channels, but it's a matter of bringing it all. And so I then submit to bring all, you must go to the source of all, which is the higher self.
That's beautiful. And how can people find you and reach out to you and learn more about it? Because I really love this entrepreneurial mindset.
Absolutely. Yeah. Look, my name is Fadaie, Fadaie. If you Google Fadaie Insurance, my website will show up. There I have a bunch of information. My email, Kash, Cash with a K, at Fadaie, Fadaie insurance.com. Email me if you want to chat, if you want to go over some of these things. I'm definitely here to help. I love helping people. I love people. Yeah, those are the ways you can get a hold of me.
Excellent. And thanks so much and keep up the great work.
My honor to be with you. Thank you so much.